So we got to understand that the microcosm is our future, okay? Future just means it's an active component in shaping our experience. It's an active component that is not observable to us. It's not perceivable by us. But we know through study, research, and science, close observation, and empirical data that this is indeed how these microscopic systems operate. So let's break it down, okay? So this whole experience that you're having right now through your five senses, this is a result of your perspective, okay? In your perspective, it determines your behavior. And your behavior, it determines your physiology, okay? And your physiology, it determines the quality of life that you have. So you got to bring all these things into order. So look, we got to understand epigenetics. So epigenetics is a study and understanding of how our behavior and our environment have an effect on our genetic expression. So we need to remember that through our behavior, we choose our environment. And our behavior relies upon our perspective. So in order to have a healthy perspective, in order to have a healthy behavior, in order to have a healthy environment, which by the way, the environment is what programs us to have a healthy perspective, right? It's all a mirror. You have a healthy perspective, you have a healthy behavior, you have a healthy environment, you have a healthy perspective. It's just a mirror, all right? You understand this cycle, then you understand the mirror of life. You understand how you can change the reflection to whatever you want. You understand? So this is the power of epigenetics. This is what epigenetics reveals. It reveals our participatory ability with the universe. So let's break this down, okay? So let's understand our future. Let's understand these microscopic systems. So when we experience our environment through our five senses, our environment, first we got to understand we have two environments, okay? We have our external environment and then we have our internal physiological environment. All right, and both these environments are sending signals to us. So we have this external environment and it's sending signals to us. We're receiving it through our these signals through our five senses. And those signals are turned into electrical signals, which are interpreted by our brain, our nervous system. And then what happens is the brain the brain starts to send out chemical messages out throughout the body. So it starts sending out electrical signals and hormones, things of that nature into the bloodstream. Okay? And then what happens is the cells receive these signals, and they receive them there's something on the membrane of the cell called a receptor protein. And this receptor protein receives these signals, and they come in the form of what is known as a ligand, okay? So the receptor protein receives this ligand, which is like a bit of information, if you will, and it determines if this information should be allowed to pass through the cell or not. It's like customs. It's determining whether it should be allowed to pass through the membrane of the cell or not. So there's like a vetting process that goes on. And if it's allowed, then it has the ability to come into the membrane, into the cytoplasm, right, into the jelly part of the cell, and it can start to manipulate and change things. It can go even deeper, and it can go all the way to the nucleus. And once it reaches the nucleus and it enters through into the nucleus, now it has the ability to change and turn off and on genes. Okay? Now once it goes and turns on and off genes, what's going to happen is now the proteins that were being produced prior to that, well, now the proteins that are going to be, different proteins are going to be produced now to accommodate the new genetic expression. Okay? because the genes were just fiddled around, turned on and off. So you got to understand that the environment that you are in, you're constantly sending signals to yourself that are turning on and off genes. Okay? Now, what happens is you got to understand that your active genes are responsible for your perspective. It's responsible for your conscious mind, your ego. Okay? And your proteins, so it's not only is protein responsible for bodily function, but it's also responsible for behavior. So it goes all the way back, comes right back to behavior. All right? Through behavior, we choose our environment, and our environment is what chooses our perspective. So it's just a mirror, just a mirror. So you got to realize that the things in your external environment, the people, places, and things, have a tremendous impact on you, right? So you need to surround yourself with people who are conducive to your growth, who are like-minded, who have a growth mindset, right? Things of that nature, who have you have common ground with, or you have common goals with. Then you need to be mindful of the things that you have in your environment, like don't pay attention to the news, for example. Don't pay attention to mainstream news. That's all meant to put you in a certain state of mind. No, don't do that. Don't eat certain foods. Try your best to only eat organic. Grow your own food, forage, purify your own water. I mean, you gotta take back what's yours. And there's a lot of examples of things that are not healthy. There's like, try to get off those pharmaceuticals. Try to only do natural. You want to do everything natural and organic, right? You want to connect to your mother nature as much as you possibly can. Get rid of all these toxic chemicals and things that you put in your hair and on your skin and in your body, and etc., etc. You need to be very mindful. You got to be very mindful of all these things, because you're harming yourself. You're damaging your melanin. You're setting a bad example for others, which is further harming yourself, because really your health extends beyond you, right? You are more than just this body. You are everything, right? So when you set a bad example, you're just setting a ripple effect that's going to just perpetuate the same thing that you yourself know is not okay, right? And then that's going to perpetuate it further for you too, right? A cell cannot vibrate greater than its environment. So if you want to vibrate at a higher frequency, you need to change your environment. Whether that means to actually just remain in the same location but change things up in your environment, or to move things around, basically that's what I said the first time. Or the other way is to literally just move to another location, to a place where you don't have the same degree of attachment, of quantum entanglement. You see, so one environment is you might be deeply quantum entangled. It might be very difficult for you to, but either way, it's manageable. It's just more difficult. But if you are able to, sit best way, rearrange things, change the perspective. It's all about changing perspective. The more you can change your perspective and be able to bring in and usher in new energy, the more you'll be able to start to detach and really start to bring in the energy that you're really trying to connect with in your life. But again, you got to connect to nature. You got to connect to Mother Nature, because she's always going to support you on that journey of growth, right? Of growth and development. So if you want her blessings, you need to connect to her. But then if you just move locations, then you also are able to go and just sever a lot of that those quantum entanglements that you had with that material location that you were in prior, right? But don't forget, though, that wherever you go, there you are. So you will also bring that with you, whatever your perspective is. So that's why you always need to work on your perspective, because wherever you go, there you are. Okay? All right, reflections. I just wanted to drop a little bit of knowledge about epigenetics and signals that we are constantly being bombarded with. We cannot stand in the same river twice. This is a fact. We are always experiencing a new moment that's absolutely unique to the universe, has never been experienced ever in the existence of time, if you will. So learn about your environment, learn about yourself, and apply that knowledge, embody that knowledge, teach others. I'm thankful, and I love myself. Peace.